Evening, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. It looks like this is working just fine. If you have any trouble with the audio, please let me know. But I grant you a happy Monday. For your Chiefs are about to do what they haven't done in 50 years. And I know we talked tonight. If you guys missed that, check that stream out on replay. That was all my thoughts. So tonight we're just going to jump straight into the questions. Our fearless mod Aaron Morrow is here. If you have trouble, please contact him. Aaron, I will try not to make you bail me out again tonight, as I usually do, because I get lost in this chat. So, folks, couple of precursors. The Welcome to the Kingdom shirts are up and out, and that helps support the channel. So if you know anybody who's looking to join Chiefs Kingdom, point them that direction, will you? They're all down at the banner here on the video. Super chats are open if you want to do that, or a super sticker that supports the channel as well. If you do make a donation with the super chats, please make sure you ask me a question, and I'll make sure that all the super chats gets answered tonight. We missed a couple last night. I'm sorry, not we. I missed a couple last night. So Chris Kesey, I know you're going to be out there. Make sure you highlight your question and maybe ping Aaron just so he's aware as well. So, yeah, want to get all that out of the way because I know there's a ton of questions. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top because I saw a couple. And, oh, that's the other thing. If you're new here, make sure you hit the sub right now before you forget. Click the notification bell so you get those. Leave your comments in here. If you're watching this on replay after we're live, if you just found it on YouTube, that's the way it is. Leave your comments down below. Hit the thumbs up if this is what you like and you want more of it, please. That always helps the videos get found by new Chiefs fans, which are crawling out of the woodwork these days. And most importantly, if you're in the chat live tonight, put a couple of question marks at the beginning of your question. It helps me pick them out of the chat, and I'm already challenged with that, so that's always a good thing. The first one I see is Joe Clay. How are you, Joe? Was Sammy's catch in the left flat unbelievable? He turns and the ball is there. Yeah, that is a timing throw. And honestly, I think he was a touch late on turning. That's why it's right in his face when he gets around to it. So great catch, an anticipation throw. I think Mahomes was dead on. So that's really when everything's clicking. That's the kind of play that you see. I'm really encouraged by that, and I feel like that's something that they're going to use going forward. They are timing offense a lot of the time. It's not just let it break down and let Mahomes go until he can go. So that really is an important aspect of making sure that you're still clicking on all cylinders. And it was nice. And Brett Veach had some interesting things to say, not necessarily in reference to Sammy, but in general about how we got to the AFC Championship last year. We lost it by one play, by 4 inches. We've made additions to this team, not necessarily for the regular season, but for the playoffs, to get us over that hump, to make plays when we couldn't make plays before. And I think that was a reference to Sammy being available. Had the breakout season right to start everything off and has had a fairly quiet season since then. But to be there on that day in the AFC Championship and be able to be the guy that actually puts up the biggest numbers, and numbers aren't all it's all cracked up to be, but to be there when Tyreek's getting doubled and Kelce's getting doubled and there's attention put elsewhere, that's really what's important. And right now, they have so much that the San Francisco 49ers have to get ready for that puts pressure on them to begin with. That's a big plus for this team as well. Great question, Joe. See a lot of familiar fans. How are you guys? Gary, Tactics, Stevie, Scott, Meza. Nice to see you guys. I'm sorry that I'm off to a slow start already, but we're going to get cutting. And I'm going to move on to the next one. Let's see. Where did the next question go? See, that's what happens when I scroll. It's a bad deal all the way around. Tim Gilhully. I like that. Should we use LaShawn McCoy to pass block against Bosa and D Ford? No. Shady's capable, but it's not like a design thing. I don't think you want to go out and do that. It honestly appears to me that Shady's either hurt or something about his effort has caused him not to get the attention in this postseason run. I expected him to play again in the championship game. It didn't happen. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But clearly, Reed is not happy with him not making it a specific point to get him involved. So I don't think that they're going to go out of their way even to have him pass block. So Samson Gersing, how are you? Can we get an offsides from D Ford? You never know. D had some interesting comments after his game last night as well, talking about the fact that Chiefs know that he's coming for him and that he's expecting them to come after him too. Well, yeah, he's absolutely right. He's got multiple injuries. He hasn't had, I mean, you got the better end of the deal in letting him go and getting Frank Clark. There's a lot of people that are going to complain about that, but clearly in terms of production, even numbers, you're getting the most out of Clark. I think Clark has actually raised the level of everybody else on this defense, at least in the front seven. And D Ford was never a guy that was going to do that. He was never somebody who was making his teammates better. He is a one-trick pony, which it's a great trick. That speed rush is killer, but he doesn't help you solid up your entire team. Jay and I, do you think Steve Spagnuolo, with his years of experience, can overcome Kyle Shanahan's creative play calling? I do. Some of it is unique for sure, but I don't think that scheme is going to be the issue here. It's about attacking a run game like you saw the other night. That is different. It isn't the power game. It isn't straight at you. So you have to be more athletic. This plays to the Chiefs' strengths, actually, in their nickel, in still trying to defend gaps and being able to keep up with Mostert. I think that's how you say it. I never get his name right, so bear with me. And if you're a Niners fan, let us know if I'm messing that up. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, cheers. This is a Helles, a nice light lager from German style from Wibby Brewing in Boulder. So if you get a chance to check out Wibby, they're super nice people. Give them a shout. And I will try to not let my voice run ragged like it did last night. Daniel Collins. How about those Chiefs? Yeah, good question. Brandon Patterson, can we stop the 49ers run game? Yes, it is capable, and I don't think you have to have such a concerted effort. I do expect Pennell to have to be on there to stop it pretty well, but I think you're going to be able to see more nickel. It's not going to have to be the base defense as much as it was. I think Reggie played 38% of the snaps last night. Damian Wilson a little bit more, and Hitch was out there quite a bit. Okay. Got Joe's question already. Joe Schmo, any tips for someone thinking about getting into brewing? Chiefs going to the Super Bowl. Yeah, I have a ton of them. And the other channel is called RGR Podcasts. And I'm changing that over. It's overwhelming. You guys let me know in the comments. But so far, it's been overwhelming that everybody wants all the Chiefs content on RGR football. So I'm slowly going to move that over. I'm also, in the offseason in particular, going to do NFL reviews. I'll review other teams. I'll review the AFC West. I'm going to expand a little bit out into the NFL, and that's all going to be on RGR football. RGR podcast will come down to the more beer-oriented and some YouTube tech-type-oriented things. So check that out. It's called RGR Podcast. I can put a link in it when the show's over tonight. But thanks for asking, Joe. Testicular tactics. How do we stop Bosa and Ford? It's tough. Bosa's got more inside moves, in my opinion, that can actually be troublesome to Schwartz crossing over. I think that Fisher and Schwartz have both practiced against D so much. I don't anticipate a lot of problems. There's going to be reps that he wins just on straight speed. That's got to be built in to the game plan. So I don't think that's going to be a big stretch, but they're not going to be huge, and it's not going to be, some kind of demonstrative he takes over the game thing. I'm not worried about that, quite frankly, very much at all. Jacob Cody, do you have a score prediction yet? Nope. I'm going to watch all the film from the championship games. I'll have that the Friday before the Super Bowl. It'll take me a while. Let's see. Daniel Porting, thanks for checking it out. Appreciate that. Testicular Tactics, 2014 Justin Houston or 1990 Derek Thomas? Derek Thomas, hands down. Not even a question. Yeah. Let's see. Young Adam was the most athletic play of Mahomes' career, that 27-yard run. That's what I said on the podcast. Not only was it his most athletic, I think it was his best play, period. Which is funny to say when he's been, in that argument all year long with is he the best quarterback? Is Lamar better? It's a lot going on there. But yeah, I do think it was. Kevin Pippin, any chance that the Chiefs make a splash for Alex Collins after the Super Bowl? I don't think so. Could be. I don't think Shady's going to return. Clearly, if he doesn't get in here pretty soon. I'm not sure what's going to go on with the rest of them, but I'll tell you this. A running back high in the draft is not high on the Chiefs priority list. So Alex Cons could be in the mix. You never know. This coaching staff is going to use veterans and lower round picks to fill the running back room. Excuse me. Sometimes it catches up with me. So yeah, you never know, but I don't think they're going to make a big splash. They got too many other fish to fry in the draft. Let's see. Carson Staten Jr. I think Darwin's coming along. I like the way he runs. I think he leaves his feet too often. He doesn't need to jump over people. I just want to see him cut more. I think he can. I think he's an explosive guy. I think he's going to get there, but will they use him as a change of pace guy? They might. And I'm intrigued to see what happens after he's been in the NFL for an entire offseason and gets that under his belt. Dr. Sanitary, who scares you about the Niners? What do you think the Chiefs can exploit? Their line's pretty good. I'm going to look at the interior guys. I think McClinchy's probably the weaker of the tackles, but I'm not sure about that yet. I got to see the most recent film. Guys that scare me, Deebo Samuel. He and McCall are right up there with the best rookie wide receivers. And here's the thing is Deebo's not as fast as either he or Tyreek, but he'll take those runs. He'll take handoffs. When he does get the ball in his hand, he's hard to bring down. He's like not like a Vaughn or anything, but he's like a more stout slot receiver, even though he's not a whole lot taller. I think he's 6'1", if I remember right. I'd have to go back and look at his profile from the draft, but I'd keep an eye on him. And Kittle, obviously, I think is going to be something that Garoppolo has to pass more than 8 times. So I think that's going to be a bigger part of this one. So good job, Doc. Firefighter Farmer with Clark, K-Pass, Speaks, Naughty, Saunders, Agua, Okafor. Do we trade Jones for some draft picks and save the money? I don't think so. I think if it does come down to it and they can't reach money, I do think that he will get the franchise tag and he will play here. They want him here. They don't want to get rid of him. And quite frankly, I don't think they're certain about Agua or Okafor after the injuries. So we're going to have to see what happens. So it's a shame. Both those guys I thought were doing really well. Gary Holland, how will the O-line do against the Niners defensive line? Solomon Thomas doesn't bother me. I think Wiz is prepared there. Could they overload the A gap on the other side between LDT and Ryder? Possibly. Greenlaw doesn't really intrigue me much as a blitzer. So I feel like they're going to have a decent shot. It's going to be about Bosa if they do concerted things with him and D Ford to get them loose. Stunts, twists. Do they line them up on the same side and try to flood a gap or get separation between a guard tackle combination? That's what I'm going to be looking for. Stephen Kramer, Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. I can't believe it. Good for you. Fat Tony, who scares you about the Niners? Those guys, I think Richard Sherman is susceptible to Tyreek, maybe to Hardman, but everybody else, I think he's got enough experience to play hard. So I'm really interested to see how they choose to attack him. The big mixed match for me, just off the top of my head, and again, I haven't watched the film from rewatched the Chiefs, and I haven't watched anything film-wise on the Niners from this last weekend. The mismatch for me is going to be Kelce again. I think that's where it's going to be at. Joe Schmo, how worried are you about Bosa? He'd be my primary worry, but I'm not shaking in my boots. I do think he's the better of the Bosa brothers, I'll tell you that. Joey's never really impressed me that much. Nick seems to be hitting the ground running. Let me see if he can sustain that before I call him all world. But he's Hoss strong, and he's got a lot of technique behind him. And I think that's why I think he's better than his brother. And I think he's somebody they got to pay attention to. But if you need to chip him, you need to chip him. If that's the way it works, it'll be okay. Doctor Who, why are McCoy, Wiley, and Matt Moore inactive? Matt Moore was sick. Wiley's still coming back from something. He's not 100%, but he's probably 90-ish. It's just that Wiz is playing better. And Allegretti gives you an option at center. We actually asked Matt Derrick about that today on the podcast. That should be out now on iTunes and Apple Podcasts, not iTunes, and Google Podcasts and all the others. Stitcher, we're even on Spotify now. But I do encourage you, subscribe to the podcast, please. Go to Google Podcasts or even Apple Podcast is probably the best place because you can leave reviews there, and we actually get credit for that. On here, we don't get to track, we don't get the feedback as much when the podcast is on YouTube or if you're on Spotify. It's just not quite the same way. So eventually, there's going to be less pods on this channel. I'm going to have a couple of the big ones and a couple of the short ones. And so I'm getting ready to add a lot more content for you guys on the football channel. We're talking somewhere between 8 and 10 videos a week. Some of them will be podcasts. Some of them will be contributors. I have some guys lined up that may start creating videos on this channel for us, so that you get a little bit more perspective. It won't just be all me, but guys that I've talked to in the past that I think you're going to appreciate their opinions and their takes. So I'm building a team. Aaron Morrow's our first one in being our mod, so give him a hand, will you? Wiley McCoy, I think he's just in the doghouse. He's got to have been rested by now, unless they really just want to save him for the Super Bowl. I don't think that's true. So I feel like Doctor Who that McCoy is probably just not putting out the way they want him to. Becky 42, would you put together some breakdown of Sorensen's playoff film? I'd love to see that. Yeah, I'll probably throw one in probably this week. He's been playing really solid, like I said the other night, and I give him mad props for that. He's actually played better than I expected him to, even though I thought he would play better this year than he ever has, because they're using him in the way that he's supposed to be used. He's a strong safety. He belongs in the box. Nickel linebacker, strong safety type. For those of you that are screaming for Isaiah Simmons in the draft, by the way, you got to remember he's basically doing what Dorian O'Daniel did at Clemson. So it's tough to see him making it. He's not big enough. He's not bigger than Dan Sorensen. So think about that. If you were going to run a true nickel, you might be able to go up and get him and make it work. But that's an interesting idea there, because at linebacker in college, he's not big enough to play linebacker in the NFL. Excuse me. Let's see. Denny B, how are you, bud? I know you're in the Philippines. Hope you're doing well. Stop Bosa and the hotheads with hot reads right at him. Yeah, honestly, screens too. I think he's pretty susceptible to that. Billy Carr, what did Big Red put into Matthew's Wheaties yesterday? Guy looked like he was playing possessed. It's the smell of possibility. It's smell of championship. LSU has a long history. They have experience going for championships. Reggie Ragland, the guys from Alabama, have experience going for championships. McCole and the Georgia guys have experience going for championships at the college level. When you get down to it and you can feel it in the air and you're that close, I don't think it has to be Reed. From what I understand, it was Matthew giving some pep talks, getting everybody else riled up. I think Frank certainly did his job on that order. Frank was pretty salty, and I like to see it. So I'm pretty happy with where they're at. Okay, Dylan Kruckman, our first donation. Thanks, Dylan. I appreciate it. You are consistent as all get out, and I really appreciate the help. Is it really Super Bowl or bust? I believe it is. Yeah, I mean, it's the top of the hill. It's the one thing Andy Reid hasn't done is win a Super Bowl. There's a couple of players here who've been to them. And I'm not going to go down the list because I messed it up last night. I think you guys saw that. But for them, certainly winning one is the thing. And quite frankly, for a quarterback like Mahomes, he's the linchpin. It's the one thing that this league has to have is a franchise quarterback. For him to get Super Bowl experience is a big thing, but to win one sets them up to win more and more. This is hugely incredible, not just for this game and this season to cap it all off and everything that they've been through. It is to set up the next 10 years, quite literally. So, yeah, it is Super Bowl or bust. Roger, can they beat the 49ers? What's your prediction? I don't have a prediction yet. I'll get back to you probably the Friday before. Whiskey Bravo. What do you think the San Francisco front seven is physical enough with our wide receivers and tight ends to compensate for below average defensive backfield? The front seven might be with the tight ends, not with the wide receivers. I think the only guy that really makes me nervous is Sherman in terms of disrupting routes. And they're going to play him in a lot of off. It's not going to be all off. He'll play some man, but I think it is. I had to skip back there. Dylan, again, thank you for your donation as always. And that was a great question. It is all or nothing. Stevie Keys, thank you for yours. I appreciate that. Super chat. Thoughts on Toe special teams yet again with the gaff on the fake punt? Seemed to be a very obvious situation that you wouldn't punt. A gaff, maybe. From Dave's reaction, I think that was on Dave. I think it was him more than the guys. And there's a lot of weird stuff going on this year, so I'm not going to fault anybody for getting caught a little bit off guard, especially when they do, they're making plays. Jake Alec, obviously the offense has been doing a lot right now. It's something you've seen that they could work on. Definitely. The power game. Getting 2 yards when you have to get 2 yards on the run. Not making Pat do everything. That some concentration lapses, number of drops in the last few weeks, even from Travis Kelce. I think that's something that you want to nail down. You know what I mean? And more importantly, getting into a rhythm. They're coming out slow. They've had a little trouble getting going the last couple of games. Not new this season. Got to get that fixed as an overall. Doesn't mean you can't win this game. Doesn't mean it's anything you got to look at these next 2 weeks. That's an off-season thing. That's about mentality, getting on the same book even better, and being able to just start punching from the get-go. Good question. Carlos R., what are your thoughts on the Niners? What % do you think they have to beat the Niners in Super Bowl? Right now, I'm calling it 65-35 Chiefs. The Chiefs are the front runner for the reason that they can score nearly at will, even against a good defense. Again, they have to deal with the pressure, but offense generally is going to trump the defense. I'm not sure if you can control the Niners run and just not let them get huge gaping holes like you saw against the Pack. I'm not sure that run game's enough to support them. And I don't think that Jimmy Garoppolo is near the quarterback that Patrick Mahomes is. Their skill players are good. You have Sanders. He knows how to get open against this team. He knows the personnel. So Emmanuel Sanders is somebody to pay attention to. But the Chiefs defense has come a long way since the last time he saw them as well. So I'm feeling very confident. Definitely over half. Like I said, I'd say 65% right now. Roger, yes, they can slow it down. Can they stop it? Probably not. Morbian 13 did. Tyrann Mathieu's tackling yesterday remind you of any former NFL safeties, Ronnie Lott, for example. No. I see where you're going there, and I like what you're thinking, but Ronnie Lott was a house wrecker. Tyrann just doesn't have the girth behind him. He'll throw his whole body, and I like to see that, but it's not the same thing. This is not a Ronnie Lott or a Kenny Easley kind of deal. But it does. I was very impressed when he took down one of their tight ends. Knocked him in the ground. That was great. But no, let's not get overhyped there. It does remind me of Earl Thomas, certainly, of Troy Polamalu. Yes, I would go that far because Troy wasn't a huge dude either. Rick Buddy, thanks for the sticker. I appreciate it. And the donation. Always appreciated from you. Cole Keeler, as an offensive line goes, what do you see as the most pressing need in the upcoming draft? And what round would you select him in? For me, it's probably center more than guard, but left guard would be right up there. Call it interior lineman. And I would take them anywhere from the back half of the second, if there's somebody you really like, on down to the fifth. I think the sweet spot is the third round myself. Maybe upper fourth, but that would be like trading back to get in the top half of the fourth. You're going to be at the bottom. Right now, the Chiefs are picking 32nd in my mind. 31st is the best they can do. So I see some trade backs is my point. There's a couple of guys out of Oregon that I like, both of them. I like Nick Harris from Washington. There's a guard in Alabama I like, but he's not really a zone guy. I think he can play zone scheme, but I think he's more of a power guy. But we'll get into that in the offseason. I still run Rogue Analytics, folks. So I will have my draft guide. I will have all the metrics for you pre-draft on my custom athleticism based on my metrics that I've built. I am the PFF of sports physiology metrics. So that's what I do. Never fear. I'll be promoting that heavily and all the time. So you guys will probably get tired of it. But Scott Meza, is Mahomes being the leading rush the past 2 games a bad look for the running game? Not necessarily, because it's opportunistic. He's bailing on pockets. He's taking what the defense is giving him. If they're going to continue to drop 8 and rush 3, and he's got a 15-yard wide open lane, he might as well take it. That's not a reflection on the line or the running backs not being able to generate yards on the ground. That's situational awareness is what it is. Tactics. Oh, I'm sorry. Tim Reynolds first. Who do you think has the advantage of the Super Bowl and why? P.S. Did you hear about what Wendy from the show Wendy said about no, I don't know who that is. Sorry, man. I think the Chiefs had the advantage because their offense is, I think, more explosive and more able to deal with the Niners defense than the Niners offense is in reverse. So that's where I'm giving them the edge. Tactics. Should the celebration music from Tech 9 or Charlie Parker? I don't know, man. I got nothing. I'm all for Rob Bass. How's that? Daniel Porting. Niners to have a wide receiver block. How does our defense prepare to have their wide receivers making moves like that? I don't think that they have to deal with it much. Ward is a press man guy. Breland plays press man very well. Fenton is a press man guy. I'm not worried about wide receivers blocking any of those guys. I'm not scared. I don't see anyone out there that can block any of those guys. I mean, maybe if you got a size mismatch in one of them, Debo's a strong guy, but I'll put Fenton up against him tomorrow in a heartbeat. Definitely Tyrann or Fuller can get away from him. So a wide receiver blocking is not a problem. Okay, Milo, see how much Tony was loving the Chiefs? I didn't. I don't pay much attention to the talking heads. Curtis Douglas, keys to beating the Niners running game with the defensive front. Sound gap defense, just like you saw last week. I think they can play more nickel and be safe. It's about those interior defensive tackles, rotating with Chris Jones. I thought it was a great rotation. You got output from everybody, and that's going to be key. And it's about protecting the edges. Suggs, Clark, the outside linebackers getting to the edge where they need to be. That's going to be telling the tale as far as I can see. Mostert has gone around the outside quite a bit. Breed has ripped this team before. And you got to watch, I never say his name right, the fullback. The one fullback that gives Anthony Sherman a run for his money and being the best fullback in the league. He catches well. They'll sneak him out on some interesting stuff. They got to pay attention to him. Keith Welch, with the way that the D handled Henry, do you think they can stop the game? Yeah, I do think that they can stop the San Francisco running game. I don't think they're going to put as much concerted effort into it, so I think it will be better. The Niners will get more yards than the Titans did. But I think overall, they're going to be better apt to stop the pass game, which I think the Niners are going to have to go to more. Justin Troba, how would you play the 49ers to win? I would motion the heck out of them. I would get back to what Spags likes to do on defense in sending Fuller, sending Mathieu, some exotic stuff off the edges to protect against the runs out there and get to the quarterback if you can. On offense, I'd start with Travis Kelce. I'd get to the pitch game and hit the edges on them there. I would make guys like Sherman, take on blocks and try to make tackles. But I'm putting the emphasis on the edges. Get away from that defensive front. Gary Holland, will the Chiefs sign Pennell next year? I think he is on a one-year contract, and I do think that they will try to bring him back. Pete KC, will Patrick go after Sherman? I don't think he'll be scared of him. I think it's going to be about what kind of looks he gets. If he gets him in man, he definitely will go after him. Hallway Vic, North Star. I think that the screen game will play a big role in the game. I think we can screen them to death. Yeah, I'm with you there. I think it defeats Bosa a little bit, defeats Ford. As long as you can get clean releases out of the running backs to get over there, I do feel pretty good about that. And I don't feel like their secondary is in a position to really take that on. I want to see the trip tight end type stuff as well. I want to see more Yelder. I like him. And especially if he's in that trip tight end diamond formation. I love that. So I say go for it. Oregon, Saints blew up Minor D. What would you expect Andy to throw at them? I think he's going to mix it up. I think he's got more tricks up his sleeve, but I think there's going to be some threads too. I think Travis Kelce is going to handle the ball inside. Whether it's out of the wildcat or that little interior pitch, I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see the push passes again. Those are super effective. I think there are going to be a number of things. Stevie Keys, have we played a defensive line that compares to the Niners? They're very good. I'm trying to think of somebody that's better. Not off the top of my head, but that's pretty pointy, so I don't know. Good question, Stevie. Jorge Zaragoza. There, I had to think about it. Sorry, man. Can you please tell Pat he needs to work on his fake handoff? Yeah, he's kind of in a hurry sometimes, but when he takes a concerted effort, he's very good at them. He's just in a rush, really, and I think that's part of the porous line a little bit. Just trying to avoid that pressure. Tactics. Mahomes' ketchup is greater than Raheem's mustard. Okay, I'm down with that. Donnie Couch, should we extend Pinnell for one more year, or think they should let him walk? I want him here. I think if anybody's going to let go, I think it's going to be Xavier. He's a bit older. He's not putting out as much. Pinnell has made that run defense stable, so don't let him walk. Kyle Robinson, do you think the Niners will stick with a 4-man rush or rush 5 more often? I'm not as familiar with Saleh as I'd like to be, but he seems a little reluctant to bring extra guys from exotic places. Now, maybe that all changes because I don't know his history, but I would like to see them be able to just face a 4-man front. I expect that that's going to be the bulk of it. I don't have the tendencies in front of me. I'd have to go look those up, but in fact, I don't even have them on anybody but the Chiefs anyway. So, good question, and I'm trying to figure that out. I think they're going to have to be a little more exotic, but at the same time, they don't want to flush Pat for no reason and not have a guy there to bring him down. So, I think that's going to play into the equation as well. Uh-oh. Oh, good Lord. Way behind here. Excuse me. Okay, it's jumping around on me, folks. It jumped to the next contribution. Okay, Scott Mesa, can Mahomes overcome being rushed by 4 as opposed to the Titans rushing 3? Yeah, that's not a problem for him. I think he'll get the ball out there. So, Matt Masters, thank you. I appreciate it. Kenneth Lachlan, is the SB going to be that close? It might not be, but right now I think it's a 10-point game. It might not be that close. Willie Baker, what are the chances Tyrann gets an extension? Doesn't need to. He just got signed, so not worried about that. I'm not sure what the years are, and I'll have to look at it. He's going to be here for a long, long time. Don't you worry. Gil Hooley, is Spags getting enough credit? No, I really don't think that he is. So I'm glad that you bring that up. I do believe that he needs more, and I think it's going to happen, especially after we see what they can do against this Niners offense. Yeah, Daniel, Frank was fired up yesterday. Dylan Kruckman, once again, that's twice tonight. Thanks, man. How would you feel about KC going after Chris Harris Jr.? I would love it. I am a Jayhawk. Right back there. I would love to have Chris Harris on this roster. I think he makes this secondary instantly better. Ward on one side, him on the other. I'm down. I'd love to see it. So I just don't think it's going to be affordable. So that's me. Let's see. Scott Mason, your thoughts on the Hunt Trophy being back at Arrowhead? It's where it belongs. I think it's a great thing. I think I saw a lot of emotion, as much emotion as I've ever seen out of Clark Hunt last night. He's not an emotional guy. He doesn't give things away, but that was quite a bit. I met Lamar once back in the 90s, just for a brief second. Didn't shake his hand or anything, but you could see the way that his presence carried the room and carried everyone that not only worked for him, but those around him. And I thought that was pretty impressive. Man, was that the 80s? No, it was the 90s. I'm flashing back here. Sorry, you guys. So I like to see it, and I think it's good for the whole organization. Aaron Morrow, that's funny. I don't like listening to Buck either. So, Becky 42, thank you for your donation. I appreciate that. Who do you think will stand out as an offensive defensive player or special teams in the Super Bowl? Not named PM3. I think it's a fair bet due to the mismatch that Travis Kelce is going to stand out on offense. That's exactly what I would be emphasizing, and I do like his matchups. On defense, I don't know. You'd like to think that it's Mathieu. He's going to see some interesting players, though, in Sanders and in Samuel. I do think that he makes a couple of plays, but for some reason, I just feel like somebody in the front's going to make a bigger day out of it, either Frank or Chris Jones. That's where I think there. And at this point, I'm not putting anything past Dan Sorensen on special teams. No. Him and Hardman, those are my two. That's a great question, but those are the guys that I think you can rely on to make plays and might make the biggest plays of all. Thanks, Becky. Dr. Who, do you see Andy admitting that things were rolling better with Wiz on the O-line? Doesn't want to change things up. I did not see that. I'm glad to hear that, but I did not see that. That's exactly how I feel. So good for him. Let's see. Aaron, do we get some more Kelce and the Wildcat? I would love that. I think that's exploitable, and particularly that play. I think I told you guys at the time when I put it in the film room, there's like 6 wrinkles off of that you can do. You can throw that ball to Mahomes and let him run in. You can throw that ball to Mahomes and he can throw it again. There are so many options off of that setup, that double back Kelce in the middle kind of thing. I love it. So, yeah, I'd come out and run a whole series in that if it were me. Kansas Carolina, if you haven't already talked about this, how is our offensive speed match up to the Niners defense? The secondary is not capable of running down the field with Hill and Hardman, but they're crafty, particularly Sherman. The front has the athletic advantage. The defensive front for the Niners has the athletic advantage over the Chiefs' offensive line, so that's going to be a battle back and forth in the 2 phases. Matt Masters, would you wear a Dirty Dan jersey if I bought you one? I appreciate the offer, but no, I don't wear jerseys. I've coached at the college level. I've done a little coaching, little interning anyway at the pro level. I don't wear jerseys. I support a team rather than a player. If I was ever going to wear one, it would either be Wilbur Marshall or Derek Thomas. Somebody wears 58, evidently. Or Walter Payton. That would pretty much be it. Let's see. David Angel Molina, thank you. Nice to see you again. So glad that we finally got Sammy Watkins the ball, right? I agree. And I thought it really helped him to get fed a little bit. So that was good to see as well. I think it's going to pay off for them going down the line. As attention gets shifted around that offense, I think Sammy's going to be in position to take advantage of it. Hey, good job, you guys, spreading the word. 360 people in here tonight so far. I love it. Daniel Porning, thanks for your sticker. I appreciate that donation. And for all of you that are new here, welcome. Make sure you hit the sub and the notification so you know when something new comes out. And for you guys that are spreading the word, I really, really appreciate it. This is going to be fun. We're going to get a lot of new fans that might not necessarily even be Chiefs fans. So enjoy it. Spread the word. Tell everybody you know. And be prepared for newbies to come in and want to know stuff. So I'll try not to get too caught up on the basics for all of you old hands around here. But just be aware. Matt Masters, do you feel it's a sure thing that Suggs retires after the season? That's a very good question, and I am not. I don't know. I feel like he was on the edge of retiring before, but I just don't know. I've never interviewed the guy. I don't know anybody that knows him or his agent. I have no info on that. So I'll cross my fingers. I think he's put in some good time. You know, if he's a part-time player, I'm okay with that. It's about the money, honestly. Golden Pater, thanks, buddy. Appreciate your compliment and your donation. Do you feel that the Chiefs have a better chance winning against run teams than pass teams? Not necessarily, but it all kind of rolls that way. You could see that they were worried about a run team, though. And that's why they held the ball and ran it some more themselves. I thought Andy did a great job adapting his game plan. So that is a factor. But, yeah, I mean, I think this game plan is more going to be about exploiting and getting out to a lead than it would have been had it been against the Packers, because I think the quarterback duel is squarely on the Chiefs' side in this Super Bowl. So it's going to be about the players around him that are going to make the difference. So I don't know that I would say it quite the way you did, but you're on the right track. It's a good point. Oregon Chiefs, open up all 752 pages of Andy's playbook. Absolutely. Use it all. There's no reason to hold back at this point. Kyle, can you give Dan Sorensen the title of best form tackler on the team? Yeah, I mean, I think at this point you definitely could. He's made probably the best form tackles this year. Matthew's made a couple as well. But yeah, he's been playing great. Luke Baber, thanks for years. I appreciate it. Let's see. Dwight. Oh, I was just about to read Dwight's question and I scrolled. That didn't work out very well. Let's see. Dwight Raleigh. There we go. What's up? I got in late. Okay, I'm glad you're here though. Rick Buddy, as I asked a couple of weeks ago, especially on the bye week, do you think that Andy will unleash the full fury of the offense on the 49ers? Yes, I absolutely do. I think there's probably things that we've never seen him try that if he's either down or if he's up, he's going to give it a shot. Like I said, there's no reason to hold back, and I think Andy Reid is the leader in understanding that. I certainly hope that there's something new, but I think there's a lot that's going to work for them. The Niners haven't seen them do these things with this particular group. I think Hardman really changes it. It's crazy. It's going to be eye-opening for them too. I know everybody's worried about their defense, and they should be. They're a very good defense. But I think they're a true team defense, and I don't think they have the horses to run with the Chiefs skill players. Somebody gave $2 and didn't put a message in there. Well, I appreciate it. Come back. Let's see who's next. Marcus Words, compared to the Titans, does San Francisco have a better rushing attack and can the DBs hold up in coverage? I wouldn't say they have a better rushing attack. They're definitely different. They are definitely more speed based. They don't run the 3 or even 2 tight end sets as much. They do run more fullback, so that's still an extra blocker, so that it does change the geometrics of how you're attacking and lining up gaps. I think that is going to be a challenge. But no, I don't necessarily say that they were a better run team. And I do think that their DBs are solid, but speed-wise, if the Chiefs can get it to a track meet, no one's going to keep up with them. And if you can run those guys down a little bit, conditioning wise during that game, I do feel like that's going to play into the Chiefs' hands. Stevie Keys, do you see that the NFLPA had a press release that Mahomes is now the top selling in terms of licensed merchandise in the entire NFL? Yeah, actually, thanks for the donation too. Chris brought that up. We got the press release just as we started recording, and we mentioned that today on the podcast because that's just. It's crazy. The guy's played, 2 seasons, but it just goes to show you that success breeds success, and he is incredible. And Chiefs are going to be on top, or have the ability to be within striking distance of the top for a very long time, as long as he's playing for them. Let's see. Oregon Chiefs, Chris. More concerned about the DE rush or the middle pressure? I'm not worried about middle pressure as much. They're not as dynamic in there. They can bowl. They don't turn guys as well. And quite frankly, I feel secure with LDT and Wisniewski. I am more concerned about the edges. Those guys are challenging, even though the Chiefs have 2 very good tackles. So it is a great matchup. It's going to be a good game, and I think that that's really going to be part of the overall story. Joe Schmo, have you purchased a Chiefs jersey for the Super Bowl patch yet? No, sorry. You give us a shot of it, though, and we'll try to shout you out. Maximo, thanks for your donation. Appreciate that. Carlos A, a film room on Chiefs run defense. Yeah, I'll definitely have some of it in here this week. Taking a little bit extra time because we don't have a game this weekend, so we're going to space things out a little bit. I'm still going to have a Monday, Friday, and we're going to have some pods in here. We're going to do some interesting things. I guess I'll let it out of the bag. We're going to talk to Therese Paylor. I don't know if I'm going to get it on the channel or if it's going to be on the podcast, but Therese is going to come back. We've had him on the show before. It's just been a while since he went to Yahoo. Seth will be back. We're talking with Matt Derrick. We're trying to bring in everybody that doesn't necessarily agree with me to give you a little bit of a different opinion sometimes, but a lot of good voices. So keep it peeled here and definitely get subscribed to the podcast on Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. Nathan Altick, what chance of the NFL PA agreeing to QB contracts not counting against the cap? 0. Every contract will count against the cap. You can guarantee that. I'm just really interested about structure and about how much revenue the players get back, because if the players are getting a bigger chunk of the revenue, I feel like that might lessen some of the negotiating tactics in terms of driving the prices up. But the market, people will get paid what the market will pay them every time. So that's not really anything that you got to worry about. I think it's going to go that way no matter what. Let's see. Aaron Morrow. Does Bosa over pursue like his brother? Not as much that I've seen. Now, I haven't broken down all 22 of them. I've watched their games. I've seen a few plays all 22 just to kind of see what they were doing. But I haven't broke them down. But in general, I feel like he plays more under control. I think he's technically more sound from the couple of games that I've seen. And I do feel that he's more athletic. So, good questions. Let's see here. Don't scroll too fast, Ryan, because I just skipped Kyle Erder. Thanks, Kyle. I appreciate the donation and the sticker. I hope I got a question for you before. I think I remembered answering you, but I wanted to make sure. So if not, hit me with another question. Two brothers from another mother, 23. That's a good name. How do we slow down George Kittle? The only thing I can think of is Kendall Fuller, but I don't know. What do you think? I tell you what, I know he's short, but Tyrann Mathieu can guard tight ends. I would not be surprised to see them focus on Kittle with him or do a little dipsy-do. The other guy that I think you can put on Kittle is probably Fenton. He's going to get bullied a little bit at the line, but in space, I think he's going to do okay. Kittle's a good athlete. It's going to be a Kittle versus Kelce battle, I think. They're both going to have prominent roles in this coming game. But I think there's a number of ways you can do it. And if it gets down to the Niners having to throw a lot, I think you're going to see Kittle get bracketed and get some attention over the top. Him and probably Emmanuel Sanders is my thought. Larry Heimer, do you think that we're tackling Henry down low helped him slow down to make him less effective? Yeah, definitely part of it. It's a classic thing in football. You hit him below the waist and you can slow a guy down. You hit him up high, it's more likely you're going to bounce off. It's just the way it goes. Scott Meza with the 49ers playing multiple tight ends. Can Spags overcome that scheme? Yeah, you saw him do it against the Titans just the other day. They played 2 and 3 tight end sets, multiple extra linemen. Yeah, that's not a problem of it. It's the it's the fullback that I think really gives them an edge because the Chiefs aren't used to seeing it. It's a different blocking scheme. It changes angles. But I'm not terribly concerned about the double tights. The Chiefs have played that before. They've gotten that treatment before. I think they're going to be okay. Carlos A., you should get a fiber optic internet. I got like 200. Oh, my God. Can you imagine what I could do with 200? I tell you guys what. If I get fiber optic, and here's the thing. I live up at like 9,500 feet. There's one provider, CenturyLink. That's it. It's the only hardwired internet service that I get up here. There's 2 companies trying to make inroads up here. I don't think either of them is going to be full on fiber like that, dude. That's crazy. But I think I can get 100, and that will let me stream off of my good camera, full on. I'll have graphics for you and all that kind of stuff. I just got to learn how to do it. But yeah, if I can get the internet service that I need, this channel will change and these streams will look 10 times better. And hopefully I'll be able to add people into the stream so we can do live Q&As with maybe Dan or maybe who knows. We'll see what happens. I don't think Chris is going to get into video, but you never know who else might. Young Tran, are you going to the Super Bowl? No, I am not. I did look at tickets, but when I saw that they were $7,000 to sit in the 3rd tier, I said no thanks. Jimmy Phillips, what's it on about? If we win the Super Bowl, I will send you a Derek Thomas jersey. Okay. Yeah, if it's DT, if it's one of the 3 that I named and it's a jersey, I'll wear it for you. I promise you that. Aaron Morrow, oh, no, he was talking to somebody, not me. Do you see Eric taking over after Andy? Scott Meza, good question. He means Eric Bieniemy taking over for Andy Reid if Andy were to retire after a Super Bowl. Here's my thing. I don't think Andy retires, even if they win. I don't think so. If they do, I'm more than comfortable with Eric Bieniemy taking over as a head coach. I like Eric Bieniemy. I think he's a leader of men. I think he is not a quarterback guru, but he understands quarterbacks. I think he has a good relationship with Pat, and I think he knows how to run an offense. He's a guy, much like Andy Reid, that hires good coaches to run the defenses. That's how it works. That's how it works best, and I'm more than comfortable with that. Good question. Chiefs, Scott Mays, are the Chiefs waiting on the CBA agreement to negotiate with Mahomes? I think so. I do think that Lee Steinberg and Chris Cabot, Mahomes' agents, are aware of that. You know, there's a whole fifth-year option out there that I think everybody's going to say, hey, we're willing to throw that out and just extend him. But we got to see what the cap's going to be like so that we can plan. Because I'm pretty sure that they don't want to get into Russell Wilson money and see that team come up short on targets, come up short on playmakers on defense. I'm pretty sure that Patrick Mahomes wants to win as many Super Bowls as Tom Brady, and he knows that he has to have the other pieces around him to do it. So while I know he needs to get his money, and he certainly will, he will be a $200 million man. I think he might even be $250 million man when signed. I do feel that he's so mature for his age. I do feel like he understands that he has to have pieces around him. He can't do it all himself his whole career. So I do feel like that's probably coming, and his agents as well feel that after the CBA is established. That makes sense. Great question, though. Maximo, can you try and get any retired former Chiefs player on your live podcast? I don't know about the lives. The video streaming thing seems to be a thing that older players don't really want to do. You know, we had Willie Rofe on this year. He said he'll come back, so we'll definitely get him on the podcast. Tim Grunard's been on. We'll try to get him back too. We'll definitely get some guys. I just don't know if it'll be video feeds or just audio. Most celebrities like that, they just want to do an audio recording, do a podcast, and they're happy with that. But the video thing's a lot more involved and setting up lights in the set and all that stuff. So it's a lot harder to ask. Willie Baker, higher priority in the draft, CB, LB, or O-line? Cornerback. There are 4 premier positions in the NFL: quarterback, left tackle, pass rusher, edge, and cornerback. They have needs at corner. They still need a top flight shutdown, half the field kind of guy. I don't think free agency is going to do the deal on that because you got to pay Jones and you got Mahomes coming. So yeah, cornerback's the top. Then it's a toss-up from there because the linebacker group's pretty thin. So are the interior offensive linemen. So I could see if you don't get the corner that you want, that you trade back and you go get both of them in the second round. You go LB and O-line in the second and come back because there are more corners that are good. But I feel like there's enough in the corner class, which is pretty sizable, that even at 32 that you're going to get somebody good. That may not be the case. They may find somebody they love and they go up and get them. I don't know. But I do feel like they've pieced this secondary together pretty well. But there's only 2 guys on contract right now for next season. That's Fenton and Travarius Ward. That's it. It's your only corners. I'd like to think that they'll bring Fuller back as a safety. I don't know. I'd like to think that they bring Breland back, but he's going to get offered a lot more money because he's had a season where he's been productive. He's been up and down. Surely he's had bad games too, but he's gotten his hands on balls. He's gotten PBUs. He's been a good tackler. Not great, but good. So I think Bashaud Breeland's going to get offers that the Chiefs really just can't match because of cap space. So that's my thought. Great question, Willie. JD Sims, thank you for your donation. What's your biggest worry about the Niners? Just that they are good enough to play from a lead that the Chiefs don't need to get in a hole again. If it were positionally worry, it'd be Bosa. Ford a little bit because he can beat Fisher with speed. I do feel that those are the sides that they'll line up on the most. But yeah, that's kind of what. And if the Chiefs don't buckle down and stop their run attack, that could be a long day for them too. So I appreciate the donation, and I hope it got you what you wanted on your question. Marcus Words, Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And for the donation as well. I'm going to be here all off season too, guys. Don't even worry about it. The pod goes year round. I go year round. I'm looking for people to help me out and join my crew and come on to RGR as contributors so that my workload doesn't get crazy out of hand, because I do work a full-time job too. So, and I got small kids. We travel a lot in the spring because my kids compete in a sport that we go out of state and stuff for. So it's always a little tough. Laser Gaming 717. Are you happy the Pats aren't going to the Super Bowl? Hey, I'm as ready as the next guy to see their reign come to an end. I hope that it stays that way. I expect Tom Brady to be playing somewhere else next season. JD Sims, best way to support is buying T-shirts, right? Yeah. The T-shirts, you get something, I get something. Everybody who donates on here, I mean, margin-wise, yeah, that's the best for me, because all you get is an answer out of my mouth. And I know that that's not the fairest thing for you guys. I appreciate all the support that comes on here, but yeah, I think you should get something for it. So I only make $1 or $2 on the T-shirts, but if everybody buys them, that goes great. So yeah, I appreciate the donation here and the support there. I am working on, supposedly I'm going to have the new designs back in the next week. I've talked to several of you on the channel that are willing to help me do some logos and do some other T-shirt designs. I have a couple more that I have in mind too, so I'm going to try to offer more products. And I'm just trying to get there. So anything you guys want to help with, I appreciate it very much. This is a great time, and I really enjoy doing this, especially this night, the Monday night thing where I can talk to you guys and we go back and forth. I love that part. So thank you all for that. And that does look like that's the last of our questions. So, oh, wait, one more. Infopocalypse. Did you see that the shout-out vid from all the former Chiefs before the game? My interview request would be Charles, Johnson, and Holly. I didn't see that, but cool. That's pretty awesome. And no, Finn, I'm not surprised that Mahomes isn't getting some credit amongst certain analysts. There are a couple of guys that I just think are sticks in the mud. I'm not going to elaborate on who, though. And Laser, you said you have a question. We're going to have you be the last one. Hit me. That said, while he's typing or whatever, I just want to say thank you for all of you being here. Huge group tonight. We're outpacing the star by a long ways. Spread the word. Get as many people as you can to come on. Enjoy the videos. It makes, I think, everybody more on the same page of what things happen in the Super Bowl. And I think this Super Bowl is going to be so special and so unique that I think everybody should have a great idea going into it. So I want to make sure that everybody's there. Laser, if you're still typing, hit me here and I'll try to get to it. Okay, there we go. My question, who do you think is better, Patrick or Lamar? I think it's Patrick. I like Lamar, but I think it's Patrick. Because I think, honestly, what Patrick showed in the last couple of games, is that he's athletic enough to run too. But I think he's a much better passer. I think he's much better at deciphering defenses. And for me, he's the complete quarterback. I don't think Lamar is yet, although I do think that Lamar will be. So that's a positive sign too. That said, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Our hour is up. I'm going to feed the kids and do my normal stuff, but I hope you guys have a great week. I'll have some film for you Wednesday. I'll have some more for you Friday. I'll have a couple of things in between. So check the channel every day. Tell your friends and family about it. I appreciate it, friends and neighbors, and I'll talk to you next time.